Behind closed doors, Labour are planning even more tax rises this autumn. Because Labour put up taxes at the budget last year, they killed growth. That means less money coming into the economy. So they'll have to put up taxes even further this year. It's a tax doom loop, and it is happening because of Rachel Reeves and the foolish decisions she made.
Badenoch's bold gambit, the tax doom loop that could destroy Britain. Right then, before we dive into this absolute political minefield, hit that subscribe button because what I'm about to tell you will fundamentally change how you view the current state of British politics. And trust me, you won't want to miss a single episode of what's coming next. Picture this. It's Tuesday morning. The political establishment is nursing their weekend hangovers, and Kemi Badenoch drops what can only be described as a political nuclear bomb that sent shockwaves through Westminster. But here's the thing that'll make your blood boil. This isn't just another political spat between the Tories and Labour. This is about your money, your future, and quite frankly, whether Britons will know it will survive the next 5 years. Badenoch has just accused Rachel Reeves of orchestrating what she's calling a tax doom loop. And if you think that sounds dramatic, wait until you hear what's really happening behind those Treasury doors. We're talking about a financial catastrophe that could leave every single working family in Britain £1,700 worse off. Let that sink in for a moment. £1,700. That's not pocket change. That's rent money. That's food bills. That's the difference between keeping the heating on or wrapping up in blankets this winter. But here's where it gets absolutely mental, and I need you to stay with me because this is where the political chess game becomes genuinely fascinating. Badenoch isn't just throwing accusations around like confetti at a wedding. She's making Keir Starmer an offer he literally cannot refuse without looking like a complete muppet. She's offering Conservative support to cut the UK's eye-watering £300 billion welfare bill. Yes, you heard that correctly, £300 billion. To put that in perspective, that's roughly the GDP of Ireland. Twice. Now, before you start thinking this is just another political publicity stunt, let me paint you the real picture of what's happening in the Treasury right now. The deficit, that terrifying gap between what the government earns and what it spends, is about to double from £16.3 billion to over £32 billion in the next 5 years. And here's a kicker that should terrify every single taxpayer in this country. Someone has to pay for this mess, and spoiler alert, it's going to be you and me. Rachel Reeves is sitting in her office right now, probably surrounded by calculators and looking increasingly pale, because she knows what's coming in the autumn budget. Tax rises that will make Gordon Brown's tenure look like a charity fundraiser. We're not talking about a cheeky penny on income tax here. We're talking about systematic, brutal increases that will fundamentally reshape how much money you take home each month. But here's what makes Badenoch's intervention absolutely brilliant, and why every political commentator in Westminster is scrambling to understand the implications. She's not just attacking Labour's economic policy, she's offering to fix it. This is political jiu-jitsu at its finest. She's essentially saying to Starmer, look, mate, you're driving the country off a cliff, but instead of just watching you crash and burn, we'll grab the steering wheel and help you turn this disaster around. The Conservative leader is making it crystal clear that this isn't some blank check arrangement where the Tories will blindly support whatever Labour throws at them. This is a calculated offer to work together in what she's calling the national interest. And if you think that phrase sounds familiar, you're absolutely right. It's the same language used during wartime coalitions, during national emergencies, during moments when political parties put aside their differences because a country is genuinely at risk. And let's be brutally honest about why this matters so much right now. Without a robust economy, we don't get strong schools, we don't get a functioning NHS, and we certainly don't get adequate defense capabilities. Everything, absolutely everything, depends on getting the economy right. And right now, Labour's approach is like trying to put out a fire with petrol. The numbers are genuinely terrifying when you break them down. The Employment Rights Bill alone is going to cost businesses over £5 billion annually. £5 billion. That's not money that magically appears from thin air, that comes directly from job creation, from investment, from the kind of economic growth that creates opportunities for young people who are currently stuck in what the bureaucrats euphemistically call NET status, not in education, employment, or training. Speaking of which, Pat McFadden, the new Work and Pension Secretary, has just admitted something that should make every parent in Britain pay attention. The number of young people who aren't in education, employment, Our training is expanding. These aren't just statistics. These are real people, real futures being wasted because the government can't create an environment where businesses want to hire, where entrepreneurs want to invest, where the economy actually functions properly. And here's where Badenoch's political instincts are absolutely spot on. She's identified that Labour's current trajectory isn't just economically dangerous, it's politically suicidal. Every tax rise Rachel Reeves announces in the autumn budget will be another nail in Labour's electoral coffin, because voters aren't stupid. They can see their pay slips shrinking, they can feel the cost of living pressures mounting, and they know exactly who to blame. But let's talk about what's really happening behind the scenes, because this is where the political drama gets genuinely compelling. Starmer is caught between his backbench MPs who are already revolting against his welfare policies and the economic reality that his chancellor is desperately trying to manage. Earlier this year, he suffered what can only be described as genuine humiliation when his own MPs rebelled against his approach to welfare spending. His own party effectively told him his policies weren't working. Now imagine you're Keir Starmer right now. You've got Kimi Badenoch offering you a political lifeline that could actually solve your economic problems, but accepting that offer would mean admitting that your original approach was fundamentally flawed. It's political checkmate, and Badenoch knows it. The Conservative leader is being particularly clever here because she's not just offering opposition support. She's demanding that Starmer change his approach to prevent the kind of tax rises that would damage business confidence, increase inflation, and ultimately make the cost of living crisis even worse. She's essentially offering to save Labour about what this tax doom loop actually means in practical terms. Higher taxes lead to reduced business investment, which leads to fewer jobs, which leads to more people claiming benefits, which requires higher taxes to fund those benefits, which leads to even less business investment. It's a vicious cycle that once it starts spinning, becomes incredibly difficult to break. The business community is already sounding alarm bells about what they're calling Angela Rayner's Union Charter, policies that the 5 biggest commercial organizations have described as a recipe for damaging, rather than raising, living standards. When the people who actually create jobs and generate wealth are warning that government policies will make things worse, perhaps it's time to listen. What makes this situation even more fascinating is the timing. Badenoch is making this offer just as a party is trying to rebuild its credibility after their electoral defeat. She could easily spend the next few years throwing stones at Labour from the opposition benches, scoring cheap political points while the economy burns. Instead, she's offering constructive engagement, which is either genuinely statesmanlike or incredibly clever politics. Probably both. The reality is that Britain is facing a choice that will define the next generation. We can continue down this path of ever-increasing taxes, expanding welfare dependency, and business-hostile policies that drive investment overseas. Or we can have an honest conversation about living within our means, creating an environment where businesses want to invest, and building an economy that actually works for working people. Badenoch's commitment to maintaining the 2-child benefit cap is particularly significant here because it signals that she's serious about welfare reform, even when it's politically unpopular. She's the only party leader willing to defend policies that might be tough but are financially necessary. That takes political courage in an environment where most politicians prefer to promise everyone everything and worry about the bills later. The question now is whether Starmer has the political maturity to accept this offer, or whether his pride will prevent him from working with the opposition. If he rejects Badenoch's proposal, he's essentially choosing party politics over national interest. If he accepts it, he's admitting that conservative policies might actually be necessary to fix Labour's mess. And here's what should really worry every voter. If this partnership doesn't happen, if politicians can't work together to address these fundamental economic challenges, then we're looking at years of economic stagnation, declining living standards, and a political system that's more interested in scoring points than solving problems. The autumn budget is approaching fast, and Rachel Reeves is running out of options. She can raise taxes and watch business confidence evaporate, or she can work with the opposition to find sustainable solutions to Britain's spending crisis. The choice isn't just about economics. It's about whether our political system can function when the country desperately needs leadership. This is a moment that could define not just this parliament, but the next decade of British politics. Will pragmatism triumph over partisanship? Will national interest override party political considerations? Will our politicians finally grow up and work together to solve the massive challenges facing this country? The stakes couldn't be higher. The politics couldn't be more fascinating. And the implications for every single person watching this video couldn't be more significant. This isn't just Westminster bubble nonsense. This is about your mortgage payments, your job security, your children's futures. So there you have it. Kimi Badenoch has just thrown down the gauntlet, offering to help Labour fix the economic mess they are creating. Whether Starmer is wise enough to accept could determine whether Britain prospers or declines over the next 5 years. The tax doom loop is real. The solutions are available, but only if our politicians can put aside their egos long enough to work together. Make sure you're subscribed because this story is far from over, and when the autumn budget drops, you'll want to understand exactly how we got here and what it means for your wallet. The political chess match has only just begun, and trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next.